What's up, everybody? How you doing? Markets are pumping. Let's get the track rolling, and we're going to be jumping into the market here in just a second, breaking down these charts.
Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. SEC and its policies rely on whatever Gary thinks. Bitcoin's a flight to quality. I heard that from Larry Fink. Every hour losing purchasing power on foolish out there. It's not our fault. Blame the cult. It's the political cowards. When it comes to gas, our purchasing power just got cut in half. I sit back and laugh, open my bag, fill it with stacks and sats. Bitcoin.
Everybody, as you roll in, hit that like button. We're going to be getting going here in just a moment. We got some incredible charts to share with you today. We got some great signals that we have to pay attention to. The market's about to rip. We want to be prepared for either direction.
I've been prepared for
and I believe crypto will play that type of role.
Bitcoin, altcoin,
we are hearing from clients around the world.
Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Depending on how you think about it, and I believe crypto will play that type of role as a
Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump.
We are hearing from clients around the world.
What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome to the BitLab Academy stream. Let me go ahead and say that one more time. Welcome, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome to the BitLab Academy stream. We're going to be breaking down why I think global adoption is coming and also what's going on. Are we going to go to 86 and beyond? Could we have another washout to the downside? All this and more. Make sure you hit that like button, you hit the subscribe button, ding the bell. My name is Kelly Kellum. Welcome to the BitLab Academy stream. Let's go ahead and first start with a naked chart here. Naked, no indicators, nothing on this. Looking at the weekly, seeing what we see here on this Polygon. So let's head over to Bitcoin. All right, starting right here. This is absolutely incredibly bullish. This is what we want to see. We get so worried about this little dip that we saw right here. It's like, oh my God, it's over. And yet we push back up, we wash back out, it's over, push back up. And when we look at this with some of the patterns that we have drawn on the chart that we've been sharing here on a daily basis here in the BitLab Academy stream, this zone right here, as we broke down to the bottom, finding support, creating this lower level of support, bouncing once, twice, third time here, didn't even make it all the way down, signaling underlying bullishness, pushing up to this known level, these little lows, a bounce here, rejection, bounce with this wick right here, rejection, and we sliced right through this, found some support and lift off to the upside. So what does this mean? Let's talk about what this means. Let's talk about why there's globalization, why we're seeing this market pump, and can it go further to the upside? First things first, let's start right here and understand that in the past 30 days, this is an incredible metric, understanding what's going on with the balance on Coinbase. Look at how large this negative flow is. Negative flows for what we want to see in this market right now is in everything, because negative flows on Coinbase suggest that coins are moving off of Coinbase into private storage. This is suggesting a sentiment around, I'm not looking to sell sometime soon. I think price is going higher. And we're seeing very similar behavior right here. Look at the correlation to the previous cycle in 2021 when we just ripped to the upside. Very similar. We're in that same posture right now. And I do think things are going to get crazy as hell, as bullish as they can be very shortly. So let's pay attention to this as things move along. And when we're looking at everything going on, we're into the 14th week of trading on these ETFs. And we're starting this week strong. Whether you're watching this now or watching this later, we're seeing, yes, a little bit of oscillation from positive flows into the ETFs and, you know, a little bit of outflows. And I have some data on this that's going to be absolutely bullish, and we want to pay attention to this. But we're starting this week strong with huge volumes. Look at this: 155,000, 51,000, 25,000, 17,000, and only 10,000 on Grayscale. Grayscale is where we've seen a lot of that selling pressure on in the last 14 weeks with that rotation out of Grayscale, and it's just being eaten up by BlackRock and Fidelity and ARK Invest and etc. Things are looking incredibly bullish. Now, with all this happening, I would just want to point to something that is incredible, and this is such a bullish sign for Bitcoin. And don't worry, we're going to be breaking down a lot of the charts and showing you some TA on all this stuff later on in this video. If you're watching a clip of this video, make sure you head over to the BitLab Academy channel right here, BitLab Academy, at BitLab Academy. Hit that subscribe button. Join us here in the family because we break down these charts, signals, on-chain, trading setups on a daily basis. So get over here and get involved. Now, when we're looking at this and we're seeing that this appetite for these ETFs is not shrinking, yes, there's some ups and some downs, but overall we are seeing strong buying pressure. Now, the signal that I have here is right here, and this feels like it's out of context. We're talking about gold, but let's talk about why this is so important. More wild stuff in China. This is from Eric Baltunas. As local investors pile into gold stock ETF, pushing its premium to 30%, meaning they're paying a 30% overhead on top of what the market rate of gold is to get it through this ETF. And why would that happen? Because so many people are piling in to buy at the same time that it drives that sort of premium, forcing the halt of trading. Now, why is this important when we're talking about gold? When we're talking about Bitcoin and crypto and all these assets in this digital asset ecosystem that we're all trading, and it's going to change our life. In fact, it's already changed my life and so many of you here in the BitLab Academy. This is why investors there are so desperate to buy things that are not linked to their own economy and stock market. Now, this is important because of this right here. This is not it. This right, where the hell is it at? Here we go. This is important because of this right here. This is not it. Where the frick is the damn thing I had pulled up for this specific thing? Right here. All right. Got it. This is important because we're seeing also these ETFs on the horizon in Hong Kong and Chinese investors. Things are going on in Japan. Things are going on globally where either countries are providing the legitimacy of legal access to these Bitcoin spot ETFs that are here in the US, like BlackRock and Fidelity, et cetera. But we're also seeing developments of their own ETFs and own financial products that are tied to Bitcoin and crypto. In this case, we can see multiple Chinese institutions to launch Bitcoin ETFs in Hong Kong, including Harvest Fund and China Southern Fund, 230 billion, 284 billion. Now you tie that back to this chart right here with gold, the appetite for gold. And let's look at the subtext here. The subtext here is that investors over in Asia are desperate to buy things that are not linked to their own economy. And what is not linked to any government decisions? Well, we're talking about that right here, these ETFs. And we can also see with Japan, Japanese public company implementing a corporate Bitcoin standard. Today, we're thrilled to announce a groundbreaking shift in our financial strategy as we embrace Bitcoin as a core treasury asset of the company going forward by committing an initial Japanese yen $1 billion. This strategic pivot is not just about embracing digital assets, but also about, where'd it go? Also about pioneering a future where finance meets innovation at its core. This is going to be the cascading story, the dominoes that fall globally that we're already starting to see take place. BlackRock alone has over, I think it's like 1.37, coming up on 2% of the Bitcoin supply. And this is only after launching 14 weeks ago. This is incredible. And then we can see right here, why the price pump this week, April 8th, 2024. Users are claiming today's Bitcoin pump is due to Ethna's stablecoin buying $500 million worth of Bitcoin. Maybe this is something that has something to do with it. I think this would be more of a sentiment push than it is actual, they bought it and that drove the price up. This is a sentiment. It's a stacking of positive news. It's the giving of bullish confidence that not only the market is likely to see further upside soon, but also that big players in this space have their confidence and buying at these levels. That gives the little guy confidence as well. So let's pay attention to that. And we can also see right here, Genesis. We all know Genesis was had the whole bankruptcy issue. Sold $36 million worth of Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Remember some of that outflow we were talking about? They sold 39 million shares at $58 a share to buy 32,000 Bitcoin to repay customers. So this was met with a little bit of equanimity there of the selling pressure and then the reallocation or the repurchase of these Bitcoin. Now, these Bitcoin will be distributed out and likely some of them will get sold off, some of them won't. But the story of where we're at in this market cycle is up from here. We will have little dips along the way. We will, AKA, have opportunities to buy into the strength of this market if we are still at this point. Once we start getting a bit higher, I would start to be a bit more reserved on trying to give allocations towards the strength of a trend, because as we've seen time and time again in this market, when we have a very strong bull trend, those smart players, especially once we've broken previous all-time high, which we're right now in that same area right now, once we start breaking away, we will start see large players that have bought much lower start de-risking their asset portfolios and taking profits into the strength of the trend. There is still so much money to be made on the way up here in this market. So my argument or my suggestion to everybody out there is to know what your time horizon is, because if you buy right now, it's not a bad buy. If you buy in 6 months, it's not a bad buy. If you buy in a year, it's not a bad buy, all depending on what your conviction is of holding this asset. And if you're willing to endure downside, the more time, every day that elapses from here, the risk narrative becomes less asymmetric if you have a shorter time horizon. If you're going to capitulate into a dip and shake out a whipsaw that is going to happen in this market. And at some point, we will get a market cycle top. Are we going to get a double top like we did in 2013, where we had a big push up, sell off, and then another much higher top? Are we going to get a double top like we did in 2021 into 2022, where we had a first high at 64 and then a secondary high at 69? Realize that right now, everybody that bought at the previous all-time high, had they held, now they're in profit and stand to gain a lot more money. The problem with this is most people get so short-sighted about what's happening in the moment that they may buy high and sell low, and then they go, Bitcoin's a scam. Absolutely not. It's not. Our strategies or lack thereof are a scam. So we're seeing some very positive things develop in this market right now. We're seeing signs of global access being continually added and improved upon. These roadways, this infrastructure of capital from whatever fiat or other asset systems that are out there into Bitcoin is only growing. And alongside, at that same rate, people's awareness and knowledge of this asset class is also being, highlighted in ways we could never even imagine, because we're seeing the mechanisms that Bitcoin, the tenets, the protocol by which Bitcoin was designed and everything that it was meant to do, and all of this noise that's happening geopolitically right now. We see that Bitcoin is the only asset in the history of the world that is agnostic to every government body out there, every monetary policy maker out there. Every bit of devaluation that we've ever seen in every currency ever in the human history is outside of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a hedge. It will track alongside things like the NASDAQ. It will track alongside things like the S&P 500 for some time, but it will at some point break away entirely. And you know what? I'm here to ride this. And we've got some incredible signals I'm about to break down for you about what's happening, what it's looking like going into this next few months as to where we're at with global liquidity and what's going on. Now, here, I want to start with, let me say this. Let's talk about where we're going this bull market cycle and what signals, what data is suggesting about where we're at and where we can go. This is my favorite on-chain data chart. This is the short-term holder cost basis. And I say here, my favorite on-chain metric just hit an all-time high, the short-term holder cost basis. This level gets regularly tested on Bitcoin pullbacks in a bull trend. So knowing where this level is will give you confidence in the dips that happen. Much like on this recent dip that we just had, I was showing you this level, And yes, I'm going to keep it on the chart even when we're bullish and pushing up. We need to know where the short-term holder cost basis is, because anything that happens with downside price action, aka dip, aka opportunity to still stack into and ride this trend to the upside, anything above this is ultimately incredibly bullish. Now, why is this? Because when we look at this chart, we can see the fact that this is now hitting an all-time high shows the strength of the trend and higher support. That's right, higher and higher support for dips on the way up to Valhalla. Now, when we look at this, you can see very clearly, this is a previous cycle. Once we had the halving, we broke through the short-term holder cost basis, came down, tested just above it, came down, actually tested it, launched. Now, once we broke below it, look at this, rejection, 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 until we broke back through it, support, support, scary deviation here below, meaning deviation, it didn't find support. Instead of ultimately always finding a bounce on it, we bounced regionally in this area, and then we pushed up, came down, found support, kind of with a little bit of a spread here. And here again, we had the dip. Was it a scary dip? Based on understanding the short-term holder cost basis and that the price regularly bounces on this, look at how strong this pattern is right here. Whether you want to call this a bull pennant, whether you want to call it a symmetrical triangle, whether you want to call it bullish as a mother, that's right, you know what I'm about to say. This is as bullish as it can be. The short-term holder cost basis is at 58, and we only tested down into, where did we test down to on this dip? We tested down to 60,800. And this is when back here, the short-term holder cost basis was lower, about 55,000. So this is tracking to the upside, showing the strength of the trend as the price action continues to move to the upside. It's just Bitcoin providing all systems go, rocket liftoff, coming very, very soon. So we know this is the case. We know our bullish stance about where our ultimate support area is on the way up, understanding this short-term holder cost basis. Now, checking this out from my old friend Jordan Lindsay, who, if you haven't seen it yet, we had a interview that we did with him about 7 months ago. I should have him back on. He was talking about everything, what was likely to happen with ETFs, what was going on with banks when we had the cascading bank failures back in March of last year, and Bitcoin moved up. All these things are tying together to only strengthen the narrative about the bullishness of Bitcoin into the future. I am not bothered by any sense of the imagination, by any sort of chop and price action along the way, because ultimately the narrative is only getting stronger. And I want to ask every single one of you right now, hit the like button for Bitcoin right now. Hit the like button for the BitLab and look down below this video. If it doesn't say subscribed, I don't know what you're doing. Subscribe and join us here. Ding that bell so you get notifications. Now, Jordan Lindsay said the old narrative. This is important because this is something that's still ongoing right now. The old narrative of Bitcoin being negatively affected by rates moving higher is dead. This is this whole battle that we've been having since COVID regarding the monetary policy and interest rates. And if they go up, this is going to happen. If they go down, this is going to happen. We can see right here, Bitcoin follows liquidity in or out. Now, this is talking about a huge narrative that a lot of people still are not fully on board with, which is everybody thinks that Bitcoin market cycle is fully governed by the halving cycle, which is it's every 210,000 blocks. There's a block every 10 minutes, right? Every block, there's a mining reward for the miners compete to solve a block, to solve a cryptographic problem. And if they do, then right now they get 6.25 Bitcoin. The halving now is just about to happen in mid-April, around April 20th or so. And that reward is going to go down to 3.125. Those miners, yes, this new reward that's coming in is new Bitcoin. It's part of the scheduled inflation that reduces every 4 years, which is when this Bitcoin halving cycle everybody talks about here regularly. And if we pull it up right here and look at the halving progress, we are 99% of the way there. See right here, we're over 99% of the way there. And this is a halving up, halving here, up. So everybody wants to believe because of this chart, and I'm not disagreeing, I'm just saying with the caveat, there's something deeper. We are about to hit this halving yet again, and the honest correlation we can derive from this is that we're likely get upside. Now, is it because of the halving, or is it because of the context that's more broadly associated and impactful and influencing not only Bitcoin, but all assets globally. I would argue that it's probably a bit of both. And when we come back over here to Jordan Lindsay, he's talking about the liquidity flow, when liquidity is coming in and when liquidity is coming out. So let's come back over here to global liquidity and look at this chart right here. Where is global liquidity? Here it is. We can see global liquidity down, market down. Global liquidity up, market up. Global liquidity down, down. Even right here, this is where we have the FTX collapse right here. Collapse, price action with sideways. And what do we see? Huge bullish divergence with huge, impactful money printing, global liquidity just skyrocketing up, leading the move for what's going on with Bitcoin. Now, what's incredible here is we had these ETFs all approved and put in action the next day, starting, I think it was roughly around, this was all the speculation. This is where the ETF started, right here on this little portion right here. But we're seeing a huge amount of bullish price action while the global liquidity has slowly been trickling to the downside. But you have to remember, we are coming into an election cycle year, and we are coming into a period where China is having immense economic issues right now, especially with everything happening with Evergrande. It's so many different things out there, so many different things impacting the decision that monetary policymakers in every government around the world, they're going to need to do something because they have to continue the facade of the economy doing well. So we're seeing price action do well before these money printers even fully turn back on. So let's see how this is related. So he's saying this. We can also support this with a chart here from TechDev. Make sure you're following him as well at TechDev_52. This is the first time a new Bitcoin all-time high has come before the halving. Now, there's something different that happened this time too before the halving, and that was having all this capital access inflows immediately started at the beginning of this year with these ETFs before the halving. So that has to have an impact on the speculative drive of upward price action, in addition to also this narrative becoming stronger and stronger, more people becoming aware of it. So because this has been the first liquidity cycle to start before the halving. So then that begs the question, is it the ETFs or is it the fact that liquidity cycle started before the halving as well? We can see reveals which has been driving these runs and which has happened to align except this time. So what we can see here, a global liquidity cycle, and we have this volatility index down here. When we get the green dot, this is marked roughly about where the halving was. This is a halving. This is the global liquidity cycle. Okay, this was a halving right here, right at the same point of where the global liquidity cycle is. And of course, again, right here, halving and global liquidity cycle started at the same time. Now, was Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever he, she, they, group, or singular person were they just absolutely lucky to set up the 4-year halving cycle to also somehow perfectly correspond with the global liquidity? Was it an accident? Was it on purpose? It doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that we can see two different metrics that are supporting the narrative of a very high likelihood of strong bull run coming. Basically, we're already in the middle of the first portion of it, but that parabolic portion, this portion, this portion, this portion, and where we're at right now, we had the global liquidity first. Now we're getting the halving. We're getting that recipe for absolute face melting bullish price action. So if you can't get behind that, I don't know. I mean, the charts are supporting this narrative. The data is supporting this narrative. The capital flow into these ETFs is supporting these narratives. The new ETFs being launched in Hong Kong, giving access to players on the other side of the world. We see so many data points right now that are suggesting we are going to have an absolutely incredible bull run still to come. Some things feel like maybe they're a little overheated. Yes, we'll have dips along the way, but on the macro picture, we have absolute fireworks ahead of us. And I want each and every single one of you, if you want this market to explode right now, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell, because I could not be more bullish than I am right now. Now, with that being said, we also have this chart right here that suggests this is usually the place where things go vertical. So on a little bit smaller time frame here, if we look into this chart, this is a Wyckoff accumulation method where your price goes down. And this is the mechanism, and you can see it on every time frame, whether it's a 5-minute, a 4-hour, 4-day, 4-month, it does, just pick the time frame. This is the mechanism. This is that washout pattern that markets do to essentially whether it's a manipulation by larger players or whether it's just the nature by which all things interact is kind of irrelevant. What we see is the market having a battle between the bulls and the bears. What narrative is stronger? Well, the bears take this down, the bulls bounce. The bears say, oh, no, no, no. And the bulls don't have enough conviction to push this up, so it sells off. But then they defend this area and it pushes higher. Now, still no conviction, comes back down, bounces. Now the bulls are defending a level. We're starting to get an idea of a potential bottom. And then what do we get? We get an impulse to the upside. We're getting roughly regionally about the same height here. So the bulls still don't have the conviction. The bears take back over. Bears take back over, and we get a little bit lower low here, this phase C right here. But the bulls ultimately defend it, come up. We have a little bit of a higher low and push through this level and find, not only push through it, but find a little bit of a chop here at the zone to truly define that handing over of the guard from the bears to the bulls. And we see this, find some support and push up. And so when you look at, this is a crypto total market cap. So this is not only Bitcoin, it's Ethereum, and it's all those altcoins that you may have in your portfolios. But what we're seeing here, if you look at this, now this isn't going to translate exact move for move, but when you look at the shape of this, not only do we have a rounding bottom here, we also had essentially the chop out, down, up, okay, down, up. And this is this portion right here where we have this little bit of consolidation, a push up, a little bit of hiccup, and then what do we get? Similarly, lift off. What do we get? Lift off. So the crypto market as a whole is setting up for life-changing opportunity if you are paying attention and you have a strategy in place. And sometimes that strategy is to pick the assets you want to put in your portfolio, get them, and sit on your hands. Have your exit plan for whatever, it's 6 months, 12 months, 14 months, and the signals that are going to have confluence with not only the time period you're hoping to hold, but also if the winds do shift, which they can do in this market very quickly, what your exit plan is. If you don't know your exit plan now, what your goals are now, then you're not going to be able to actively respond to the market when things scary happen in the future. If you are reacting in this market, you are donating your money to people that are there responding to your reaction. So know that. So when we look at what's going on in this market right now, this was a giant, you could call it a bull flag. You can just call this a symmetrical triangle where you have this descending level of resistance, rising level of support. And notice that if we take a measurement of this, basically we'll just kind of do it from right here. We take a measurement, target out of this. The target out of this is all the way up here in the $84,000 to $86,000 range. Does this mean we're going to go there immediately? Remember what I just went through with you. I just went through macro signals showing that the Bitcoin liftoff is underway right now. We are going to have chop. We're setting up all the standards for it. We know global liquidity is here. We know that the halving is here also now after this global liquidity shift, and we have more capital flows that are coming into this with not only the ETFs we have, but new ETFs being launched in the other half of the world. Also, that other half of the world, remember, this other half of the world is also signaling that they're showing appetite for things outside of traditional assets or outside of their economy. So everything is lining up for the most insane bull run that we've ever had. Now, is it going to eclipse what we saw in 2010, 2013 with 14,000% gains? No. But on a risk-adjusted basis, with where we're at in the market, with where everybody globally is starting to become more aware, even if it's just on the periphery of their life. This is talked about every day on global financial channels, on mainstream news outlets. It's integrated into TV shows. There's so many different things that are on the plate right now, on the horizon, that are setting up for astronomically beneficial things. So on a risk-adjusted basis, we are in the most bullish time that we've ever been in Bitcoin. That's what I got for you in terms of where we're going with this global market right now. Now, I hope and I pray that each and every one of you has the ability to patiently dive into this market in whatever way you can, whether it's putting $50 a week, whether it's trading 10 hours a day, whether you're watching every YouTuber out there so you get a combined different set of lenses so you're not just listening to one person. I want you to succeed. I want this to change your life because this is the best opportunity probably in the last 150 years. And I just want every single one of you to win. So if you would, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell, and we will keep you on the right side of this trend. Now, what we got to talk about right now, let's go ahead, dive in. Let's do some TA. You guys ready for some TA? Throw a 1 in chat if you're ready for some TA. Let's talk about some TA here. All right, if I say TA one more time, I might have to go jump into the wall. So we got this bullish narrative that is popping here. Now, when we're looking at this on this 4 hour, there's a couple things I want to highlight here. And shout out to everybody in the room. I see all you BitLab members in here. I see Alexander G, Sawtooth, Michael Hall, Mr. Ethan Smith, what's up? Christopher Pfaff, everybody. Ruzba, back in the house. Green Day Prophets, Atropine, first one, always here. I love each and every one of you. But what I want to just talk about here is this yellow line. Notice this yellow line is a moving, it's a VWAP here. Is price moving above the VWAP? Is it moving below it? And what we can see here is the price here. We know that the price has moved above it, came down, found support on it, had a little deviation here, a little bit below here, but then has come back up. It's finding support at this level, and the money flow on this 4 hour has flipped back bullish, and we're seeing a lot of buying pressure here. We can tell on the BitLab trading stack from these green bars here. Yes, this is moving up, but then when these bars turn green, it means there's a lot of underlying buying pressure. This is good. Okay, stochastics did come down a little bit, but they're not aggressively moving down. RSI is angled down. We may get a little bit of a correction here. That is a confirmation correction, which would be ultimately very bullish. What I mean by this is if we zoom in on this chart, if we have this dip and test somewhere here above the 70,000, in fact, if we could come all the way down here into the 68.8, we can have a deviation all the way down into here, confirming this move, chopping a little sideways and then moving up. What I'd ultimately prefer to see as a bull is for this to really hold here and just move to the upside. Now, if we do get a move to the downside, this would be the most bullish confirmation here. As it stands right now, we're in process of making maybe a little bit of a bull flag. But again, if this is lost, it's not the end of the world because we regularly see price move out, come back, test that previous line, and then move. Now, this would also test, look at this, all this price action right here, this top right here. If we zoom over here, these tops right here, all this price in basically price memory, price history here in the charts. So this would ultimately, for me, be probably a pretty good dip buying opportunity if you have the conviction to hell. If you're trading this and you buy this dip, I'd have a stop loss somewhere in this region because if we lose this region, we may be coming down here and moving a bit lower. But things are looking bullish right now. In fact, I made another move over the weekend. Not really a move. I did I'm actually thinking about, and I'll tell you guys if I do it, I'm thinking about selling Velodrome and moving it into Injective. I may not, but I made another move this weekend, and that is I added another $1,000, did a little DCA, weekly DCA, into Polygon because I was like, man, Polygon is under $1 still. I think it was like 87 or 88 cents, somewhere in there. So I added another 1,000 to this. Polygon has a huge amount of network activity, huge amount of development, huge amount of partnerships. So I wanted to strengthen this position. Also, because remember, I swapped out some of the positions I had in Ethereum because I was like, this is my alt portfolio. I want to be a little bit more aggressive. So I swapped out my Ethereum positions. You notice I don't have any Ethereum in here. I swapped them into Florence Finance, FFM, which is a real world asset play. I swapped it also into Swarm right here. And so because of that, I was like, well, I need to strengthen a little bit the more risk adjusted side of my portfolio. And I was like, I love Polygon. And so I threw, it's under $1. So I threw another $1,000 into this and brought my average entry down a little bit more, taking advantage of the markets that are moving. Now, when I was looking at this morning, this is just so bullish. It's changed now, but this is not it. Here we go. Every coin here, at least this morning, let's see. Yeah, still every coin now except for Velodrome and Purple AI. This morning, every coin I had on my watch list, I don't own every single one of these, but the watch list, everything is just in the green. This is good. This is exciting. And I don't want to be cynical, but when I see that, I say, okay, if everything gets bullish, it becomes ripe opportunity to move the price in the opposite direction to create maybe a last opportunity, maybe a deeper opportunity, but we need to pay attention to that. So when we come back over here, we look, now look at this. This would be excellent if this could just push to the upside. If this does, we can see on this move right here, we can be a little conservative about the flagpole there and move this. We're measuring from the top of this down to roughly about this little breakout right here. And the target on this smaller move is up here, taking out the previous all-time high, that $74,000 mark, if we can push up there. Now, do I think it's just going to slice through? Not necessarily. I think we may come up here, have a little bit of a hiccup, then continue. But things are looking good. When we look at the altcoin, the TOTAL3, remember before when we were looking at this, we saw this bit of inverted head and shoulders here. We also saw this sort of cup and handle back when it was like this little handle. But then this kind of invalidated it. But now what this is kind of transformed into is a ascending triangle where you have the ascending level of support, flat level of resistance. And so we're going to want to watch. I'm still kind of labeling this here, this sort of alt season starting line. If we can push up into this and take this area out, this area, it's not really a price level, but essentially the $778 billion mark. Remember, this is the TOTAL3, everything minus Bitcoin and Ethereum. We could take this out. We are going to see some really big gains on some of those altcoin projects you've been stacking into. And some of them aren't. Some of the altcoins you're holding may fail. You have to know that. Every altcoin you hold holds intrinsically much higher risk than Bitcoin and Ethereum. So know that. Not everything you hold is going to make you rich. You're going to lose money on some projects. That's one of the reasons why, if you are playing in the altcoin ecosystem, you need to have healthy diversification and addressing different parts and different segments of the market. Now, when we come down, we can look at a couple of these coins. I'd love everybody right now, every single one of you here, put in 2 coins that you want to see some TA on, and I'll try to do turbo TA on a bunch of the coins that you're holding. 212 viewers right now, only 70 likes, every single one of you. I'd love it if you would participate. Everybody here is tuned in. I'm here on a daily basis. I'm giving you my all. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. I think about 50% of the people that watch on a daily basis are not even subscribed, but you come back daily. Hit that damn subscribe button. We've been growing dramatically. We're up like 6,000 subscribers in this last month. All kind of started kicking off with the Mark Yusko video. So big love to everybody that is new here. All right, let me pause this so I can see you guys, your posts. All right, so let's start with Solana from Rabin 1984. Hey, 1984 is a good year. That's the year I was minted. That's the year I was minted, baby. So we're doing Solana. Where are you at? Let's just kind of type it in here. Solana. All right. A lot of noise on this chart. Let's see. We're on the 8 hours, go to the 4 hour. Here we go. So it hit these targets that we had to the downside. Nobody thought they would. And look at this. Boom, came up, boom, tapped both targets. Now Solana is kind of being marred a little bit with a little bit of their, let me actually move that rather than, there we go. They're being marred a little bit, plagued kind of with a little bit of that, the issues of their chain going down. Now, I do think that this will likely cause an opportunity with a little bit of capital rotation, some interest in some other projects that are out there, which is good. But once they resurge back, I think it'll resurge back just as strong as it was before. Now, as it stands, this is looking very choppy. This is also looking a little bit like a distribution top. So this does worry me a little bit. If I look at this independently of the crypto market, this is telling me that it's likely going to break down. But being aware of what's going on in the crypto market gives me a little pause about calling this as a breakdown. I will put a target lower down here just so we're prepared for it. When you put a target below a level, it doesn't mean you're saying it's going to go there. When I put a target below, I say if and when, if this does drop, I'm looking at this level right here. Now, why this level? Because look at this. We have this chop in the zone, rejections in the zone. So this would be a logical next level down if this did move to the downside. That level is roughly a 14% move, a 14, 16% move to the downside. ultimately, what we can look at that as, if we do like Solana, if you're holding it, if you're like, then this is telling you you're going to have an opportunity to potentially buy it on sale. I don't think Solana is going anywhere. Now, they have incredible community, very strong developers are having some issues with their throughput. There's some speculation that that the Ethereum Foundation is basically doing things to clog up their network to drive users to base. But that's neither here nor there. We can't know that. We don't know it. What we can know is this chart overall, if we look at this and turn off all the lines and everything like that, this is looking quite, I mean, this has just been, look at this, just rally. Oh my God. It's looking so good. Now, considering that, this is getting a little sideways heavy here, but we've seen each time this done this has resulted in an upside price action. Now, where this was right here, this took about 29 days, you see? So right here, let's see where we're at right now. We are at 22 days. Now, this is not going to play out like the exact fractal, but this is showing that we can have these sort of periods of consolidation, a little bit of distribution, but consolidation into a spring that launches us. Now, what we can see here, looking at the 12-hour, we're still positive money flow. The stochastics are angled up. The momentum has obviously come down. We can tell because the price action is flat. When we get down to the 4-hour, we do have negative money flow here. So that's a little concerning, but the price, you see this VWAP did bounce and is pushing up. So let's see what this is looking like on the BitLab trading stack. Let's zoom in here. Give me some more. There we go. So you can see this right here, this yellow line is also similar to this yellow line here. When price action, we can tell which direction the price is moving in relationship to the volume weighted average price. In this case, although this has moved to the downside, this has moved up. Not only, even though this feels small, it is above the weekly VWAP. It came down, touched it, which is right on this trend signal line as well, and is holding right here. If we can start pushing up, the next level we're really looking at is 189. The next level up above that is the bottom side of this this order block region, right at 192. And then I do think it's going to take some work to get its momentum back to the upside. But remember, this has one of the strongest meme coin communities. The use case in terms of people needing to buy Solana, even if they're not holding Solana, to participate in these other ecosystems, other coins in their ecosystem, also helps strengthen the underlying sort of value of Solana itself. So even if you don't like meme coins, you can't bark at the amount of activity that comes from them. So I think this is probably due for a little bit more consolidation. This could be a fake out on this move up right here. I'd be watching the zone. If we lose the zone, the first level down I'll be watching is the 171 to 169 region. If we lose that, then I do think that we're probably moving down a bit lower, down into this 151 sort of zone. That's what I'm seeing now. Okay, going back to y'all's list. Shout out Lord Sky, gifted 5 memberships. Big love to you. I appreciate you. By the way, everybody, we do have 3:15 p.m. today, Eastern time. We do have the Crypto Degen show that we do here on the BitLab Academy stream on Mondays. Got Rodney coming on. We talk meme coins and microcaps. The Super D, that's why it's called the Crypto Degen show. So that's where we're going to be. I see some people talking about Toshi. Well, we could do that. We could do other ones. That's going to be on the 3:15 p.m. Eastern time show here on the BitLab Academy channel. So subscribe, join us, come and tune into that at 3:15. We got some more coins we got to look at. I see somebody said Solana. Oh, let's do ADA, TIA, ONDO. By the way, I'm not picking these. I'm reading y'all's list. So I'm doing what the community wants, baby. Okay, Cardano getting a little rip to the upside. Look at this. It's not a head and shoulders. It's just a bottoming pattern. We have a little bit of a deeper W pattern right here. We push up, we come down, find support on this zone, and then look at this. Rejection at the weekly VWAP, this yellow line. Rejection at the weekly VWAP. I love this signal on these indicators. BitLab trading stack. We broke through the trend signal line, but then got rejected on the weekly VWAP. Came down, found support on this in this 20 moving average cloud. You see all these ribbons in here, and now sliced through the weekly VWAP and are making a move to the upside and looking strong. We had a little bit of a pause here, but now bullish engulfing candle. If we can close it, we still have 3 hours, but we could probably look at this on the 1 hour. Yeah, so push up, sell off, now moving to the upside. Now, if this can continue to the upside, the area that I'm looking at, see, we're right here in the bottom side of this zone. The next level I'm really watching is, right, there we go, is this zone right up here, 62 cents. Now, interestingly, you see, I didn't even see this because I had the lines and all this chart stuff off. Look at this. I didn't change this. I'm doing I do my morning TA with you all live here on stream so we can find these things together. We had this line here, this box that we had outlined from before, where this bounce, we had a lot of trouble in here. Bounce, rejection, bounce, wick through, but then look, rejection, okay, bounce within, rejection. This goes even further back, support, rejection. So this level told us it was a known sort of contention zone. And what do we get? We get ADA pushing up, Cardano pushing up into the zone, rejection, coming down, finding support on the 20 moving average. And if we can take out this level, this 61.2 cent level, I do think that the next level is going to be up here at this zone because we have a rejection and a bounce right in the zone. We have to kind of work our way through this order block zone, but this is at the 62.17. Not a big move from here, but really what we're looking to, let's go out to the 4 hour. Really what we're looking for is once we start pushing past beyond this, we still need to contend with this rising level of previous support that has been flipped to resistance. So regardless of where it's at, whenever we meet it, whether we come up, yeah, there we go. Whether we push up, get rejection like this, and then move up, or come up here, get a rejection, have to test some stuff, come up, find support. Wherever it is, at some point, we're going to have to contend with this line. Now, what is this line? Zooming out. Okay, there we go. We had this line coming into where this was bouncing. So it gave us two levels from down here to right here. Now, we can also come out and create a line right here to this level, and look at where we're at actually right now. I didn't even notice this before. Let's delete some of these lines. Too many squiggles. There we go. And look at where we're at right now. We're kind of coming up into this zone right here. So this will make sense as I just drew a second ago, coming up, potentially having some trouble here, coming up and then moving up. So this would be interesting to see if we can clear this zone, if and when we clear this 62 cent zone. If we get rejected somewhere in here, we're going to want to watch for a bounce on this weekly VWAP, which is currently at 59 cents. If we lose this, then this was just a fake out and this is coming back down, maybe testing this bottom again right in here. So everything's kind of contending on, is this a bull trap with Bitcoin or not? If Bitcoin gets rejected and comes back down and loses 68, then this is also going to come down and make further moves, maybe testing down even to this 53 cent region down here. But if Bitcoin does continue that buying pressure and move to the upside, then we're going to see the bullish case for most of these altcoins play out. What was the next one? TIA, man, just looking like just building the stairs on the way down. See, down. This is getting smaller though. You see how big this is? It's a little bit smaller. This is a little bit smaller. Now we're coming right on this zone right here. This rejection, this bounce. We bounced again right here. We had, look at that, a double bullish divergence right here. You see I put my mouse over demand index and momentum bullish divergence, and we've sliced through the weekly VWAP. But notice we did this here as well, and then we ultimately lost it. So you want to look for things that are giving the signal that continuation is in store. So looking here, negative money flow. RSI is angled down. RSI is angled down, but it did find a little bit of a bottom because we do have a trend line here. Sort of kind of general, but bounce. This is starting to bounce right here. If the stochastics could also bounce right here, that would be great. We have to contend with the fact that we still have this negative money flow. This is, see how this is positive? This is the pink/purple is negative. It's looking like it wants to kind of decide what direction it wants to go right now. The VWAP's angled down. There's negative money flow. Stochastics are down, but RSI is trying to push up. The market's saying, can we catch a bid for higher? So we pushed up. We're testing that weekly VWAP as we speak. If we can hold above it, then we can look for not only taking out this level. See this zone right here? There's a zone kind of right in here that this, we'll call it right there because this is where it rejected. If we could take this out, then we have, this rounding bottom. We have a little bit of a W formation here. But if we can clear this, the next level up we're looking is right to these lows here at 1365, 1356, I mean, and then continuing on up ultimately. Yeah, I mean, we need to clear these lows, and the next level up that we need to really contend with this is 1536. I do think when Celestia starts to pull the narrative back, meaning they get the bullish narrative again, I do think it's going to rip because remember, this has been kind of correcting for some time. Look at this giant rotation here. Now, there's an argument to be made, just on a bearish note, there's an argument to be made that this could happen and we could get an opportunity down here at $6. Why? We got a bit of a shoulder here, giant head, a little bit of a shoulder here. So we have to acknowledge that there is a bearish case to be made for a level down all the way down here. Now, do I think it's going to go down to $6? No, because we also have this level here, which is still quite a bit lower. That's 725. But we also have this level here at 9. So what I would be doing if this does lose this level, I would just have limit buy order set here at the 938 region. Another one's front running this here, maybe $8 in case we do get a washout to the downside before it moves to the upside. Now on the bullish note here, when this market does start ripping, start gripping because it's going to move quick when it does. So do we have a bit of a trend line? Yeah. So boom, boom. We have a deviation here, rejection here. So this is that level. So if this does push up into the zone, $14, it's kind of contending with all this chop as well as this descending trend line. Taking that out, I do think the next move up is going to be up here into that $15, $16 range. And then once we clear this, ultimately, once we clear this zone right here, once we clear 18, I think that this is the momentum on this would really be taking it much, much higher. Now, we look at this on a Fibonacci basis and look at that. Yeah, so the $16 region, 16, and then the 786 is right here at 18. So if we clear this golden pocket, that one region we talked about, and then this next region, I do think it's going to be up, up, and away for our girl, Tia. ONDO. And then somebody said, how come nobody does VeChain? We'll do VeChain for you. And then we might have to wrap it out after that, and we'll do a couple more. ONDO, where's ONDO at? ONDO. So ONDO, part of that real-world asset tokenization narrative. Find it on Coinbase as well. This is where we got it here. Pushed up, bounced, launched. Now, this is looking bullish because we have this bull flag pushed up, but it got a little bearish here with this sort of flat top distribution, broke down, consolidation at this zone. Ultimately, I would want this to hold above 70 cents. 68 cents. If we can't hold above this low, the 68 cents low, because this is also tied with this high here. So this region, 66 to 68 cents. If we lose that, this may be making another bit of a move to the downside, but this is looking bullish. Now, when I give you a bearish outlook of what could happen, that doesn't mean that's what I think is going to happen. I'm saying, hey, this actually looks bullish to me. Let's map the bearish path, and then we can look at the bullish path. Because if you only look at the direction that you immediately are seeing, you forget to have a plan for the contrary path. That's when you get into trouble. So this did push up, had a little bit of a sell-off, wash out here, trend shift, came down, bullish divergences right here, bullish divergences right here. Pushing up, look at this, sliced through the weekly VWAP, but I wouldn't call this confidently through it yet because we haven't even taken out this high. See how this dropped a lot here? We really want to see ONDO take out 84 to 85 cent zone, which is these highs and this low. A lot of this, we could let's draw a box. What's in the box? That box right there. See, bounce, 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 rejection, 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 rejection. This is starting to have the ingredients of bullishness because we're above the weekly VWAP. We did move down here on this wick. See this? Boom, bounced. If we cannot push up and clear this 85 cent to 87 cent zone, then ultimately we're still leaning with a higher bearish likelihood. as it stands right now, it looks like we have a bit of a, I mean, it could be a triangle. Just, it's looking uncertain because everybody's waiting to see the bulls really are going to take us up into those 80s, or if it's a bull trap. This does come down to lose this, and I'd be watching for a bounce at 75, and if we lose that, then down here into this region. Ultimately, we're watching this zone here. I'm bullish on ONDO, but I want the market to give us a signal about what direction it's going. V-Chain. Look at this. Nice move up. Move down. Nice move up. Not much higher. I feel like that's like the 1.382 or something. 1.618. Yeah, look at that. Came right into the 1.618. Fib extension gave you the signal. Now this is trading in a descending channel, it looks like. See, here you didn't know it, but bounced, rejection, bounce. A little bit of deviation there. So V-Chain, what are we looking at? If we can clear this level that we're basically at now, we can clear this and it's right into this order block zone. Look at all these previous highs right in here. So if we push up into this zone, I expect a likely retest of this zone and then a continuation if that's going to happen, or even a trap into the zone, coming back down, finding some support, and then deciding on the move. As it stands right now, the money flow is choppy. VWAP kind of bouncing but rolling over. It's looking strong but not certain because we pushed up. Look at all this volume here, all this volume, and we got a rejection at this zone. If we can slice through this, we ultimately want to get through the 51 to 53 cent zone, and then we can talk about higher prices. As it stands right now, we can see with this move, option F from the bottom to the top. If the price action does reject here, we'd like to see the price action bounce. Let me turn off the volume so you can see this. We'd like the price action to bounce. And look at this. These previous range lows, it's perfectly in line with where this 382 is. So we'd, on the bullish case, bounce somewhere above this zone and then rejection and then sort of slice through it. It's not giving a clear signal because the money flow hasn't really flipped here. There's a lot of volume, but the fact that all this volume came in and we couldn't take this out signals that we may get a little bit of a move to the downside unless we get some large rip generally in the markets. Now we got to talk about Fetch because Fetch is part of that whole merger with Fetch and Ocean and AGIX. We had this large move to the upside, telegraphed it was going to break down. How? We have this head and shoulders right here. And then look, head and shoulders, and the neckline was the weekly VWAP. So once we lost it, then rejected, little deviation. Now we're back above it, trying to make headway. The headway is going to be this trend line right here. So we have this low, this high, this high. If we can clear through this, then the next level up I'd be watching is right about 301, 302, because we have this rejection, this bounce, this bounce. This was a shelf here. Rejection, you see? So this $3 range, if we could push up through this, we're watching for what happens here at the $3 range. If we could take this out, then maybe the momentum's starting back up. Near starting to show some signs of life as well. We do have a rising channel here though, which is a little concerning. But the markets, if they're going to move bullish, then they can break bullish out of this. We are above the weekly VWAP. See this? Bounce, bounce. We're getting a little bit of weakness right in this zone. What is this zone? Previous bounce, bounce, rejection, rejection. If we can clear this, then the next level is going to be directly above head, right up here in the 793 range. And if we can take that out, that would also accomplish taking out this high, and we'd be chopping into this zone here. So, you know, basically pushing up, finding a bounce, and then continuing. But let's see what happens if we can clear this 752. There's still negative money flow here. We got a little rise in volume, but then it's dipped off precipitously here, as you can see down here on the bottom of this chart. So things are kind of waiting on other signals to determine what's going to happen. I'm feeling good. The market's looking good. We're getting those right kind of moves. So although Bitcoin has had that move to the upside and it's feeling very strong, let's just pay attention when we're seeing this, that yes, it moved up, but if we just ignore all the patterns on the chart, maybe it's not that pennant. Maybe it's not that symmetrical triangle. Maybe this is going to be a sideways chopping market all the way through the halving. There's no way to know. There's only stacking the probabilities in your favor. If you're going to be trading, use your stop losses, use healthy risk management. You're position buying like I am primarily right now, waiting for this trend to really kick into gear again. Then have a conviction. And if you buy something and it drops, then you can add to your position at a lower price to lower your average entry. But it's all determined based on your diligence, based on your strategy. And I hope you guys get in our community over at bitlabacademy.com. Go through our courses, learn what's going on a basic level and also into a deep level of from the psychology to on-chain analysis. There's I think there's 19 different lessons in here, all about 8 to 15 minutes, every different, most important on-chain charts, how to read individual candles, how to read candle patterns, all this at bitlabacademy.com. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I got to run. We're going to be doing some member streams this week as well, by the way. And we're going to be doing them, by the way, if you become a BitLab member here on the YouTube, I will be streaming the premium access member streams through the YouTube from now on, and only people that are BitLab members here on YouTube or the premium access members will get those private member streams. So become a member. The link is right down below the video. I don't know if you can see it on my page, but if we come here to live, it'll be somewhere here, see perks, or there's a join button. You can join, become a member. I'd love you if you did. You get access to all those incredible emojis all these members are using, and you'll be getting access to those member streams. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. Every single one of you. Hit that like button on the way out. Hit it 5 times if you haven't hit it yet. Hit it an odd number of times so it ends up being on there. And hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh, 3:15 p.m. Eastern time here, Crypto Degen Show. Me and Rodney. Tune in. I'll see you there. Adios. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always tuning in. Welcome to all the new members here, all the new viewers here. I love you. I appreciate you. Really love having this warm, positive, empowering, non-biased community talking about just the data we're seeing in the charts and growing together because we want to change our lives through crypto. If you can get behind that, I hope you do hit that like button. Have a wonderful day. See you this afternoon.